What's going on, people? Welcome to the live match reaction. Leicester 0, Palace 2, and we are leaving what's the Leicester ground called nowadays? I forgot. But we're leaving there with 3 points. It wasn't the best of weather conditions. Of course, Lou from back of the nest, he went to the game and he let us know that the support wasn't as full as he expected. However, we got the job done. Really bad first half, but in the second half, we got into it. We managed to get the 2 goals. Lovely goal from Mateta, and also a great finish from Mark Gahey. And all that matters is 3 points. All that matters is 3 points. But we'll be talking about the positives as well as the negatives. 6 games, I believe, unbeaten away from home. So that's fantastic. And also, we are joint top for the least amount of goals conceded away from home with Spurs. 11 goals so far. And of course, some of the goals that we conceded, we could have done much better as well. Look at the Brighton goal, for example. It was our own goal. We should have really kept the clean sheet in that game. And, we've got an amazing away record. We've got the 3 points. That's all that matters. As always, make sure to get involved. Drop a like if you haven't already done so. Subscribe. And also, you can call into the show by clicking on the pinned comment in the live comment section. AJ, 3 points. I'll be honest, that's all that matters. But in the first half, I was struggling. to stay focused in the game. It felt similar to Stockport to me in terms of it being so. I mean, Stockport, we still went 1-0 up, but the first half was just a shambles. Let's just get the negatives out of the way. First half was a shambles, both in and out of possession. They could have scored a few goals. We just looked clueless when having the ball, not having the ball. I don't know what it was. And Glazer spoke about it after the game, and he even said it we're happy with the 3 points, but that performance could have been much better. But what happened in the first half? Because I don't know. I genuinely don't know. There was no positives.
It was just very open. It was very end to end. It was just not a very entertaining half. And at one point, if Leicester had actually taken their chances, we could have been looking at a very different outcome, and a meltdown would have been diabolical. Thank God, obviously, they woke up in the second half. We were clinical. I think that was the difference between us and Leicester today. The difference was we were clinical with the chances that we did have. Whereas in comparison to Leicester, on another day, that game could have played out differently, but who cares? We got the 3 points. So, in all fairness, yeah, man, let's just enjoy the win. Drops the tension a lot. And now we just need to back the manager, get some players through the door, and just keep it moving, man. I think we're in a good place. We're now above Manchester United. We're now chasing Tottenham, West Ham, and all those other teams as well. We can start looking up the league rather than down it. And more importantly, it leaves a big gap between us and the likes of Leicester now. We can start thinking a little bit differently and boxing a little bit more clever.
And that's a big thing. We're only 4 points off 10th, which is quite significant with a large part of the season still to play. So, we just need to make investments. I think we all know that. We need to make investments, bring in a few players, and there is still a lot to play for in the season. 4 points off 10th. We only got our first win of the season against Spurs, which we're level on points with right now. And away record, funny enough, is better than our home record. So there are still improvements that we will do and can do. But I think for us to be consistent, and I've said this all along, we need more players in. And hopefully one should be done sooner rather than later. Of course, we've done a stream earlier on with Lou about the Chalobah news, which was unfortunate. But this is what we needed, the win. And the next step to make sure everyone has that belief and we start looking up the table rather than down, which I don't think many will be looking down at this point, is to sign some players. I think it's simple as that. I mean, some of the bet options that came off the bench today, we'll talk about those as well. I think Kamada was good, and he's been improving slowly. Ever since that red card, to be fair, I have seen improvements in Kamada's game. And, we had a few injuries. Of course, Lerma went out injured. I think Hughes, that was not tactical. I think that was a game, player management sub, because you look at the time he got subbed off, 60th minute. So yeah, we've been balancing everything out, but for us to really kick on, we need to make those investments. But today, look, second half was much more impressive. In the first half, I was struggling to stay up. I was struggling to stay focused. Second half, nice bit of play, and the Sarr one especially, because first of all, the pass from Sarr was 10 out of 10. The timing of that pass and the power of that pass was fantastic. But in front of goal, the composure from Mateta was also something else as well. So, that's what we want. That's what we want to see. And Glazer said it after the game, and it might sound a bit weird, but he's still talking about the start of the season. He's still talking about, we signed players late. We didn't have a proper preseason. We had lots of issues on and off the field. And now it seems like you can see that chemistry building. But of course, there's a lot to play for. Let's not waste any time. There's a lot of guests waiting behind the scenes. Let's bring on Bruno first from the Palace way. Bruno, 2-0 win against Leicester away from home. I saw a few of the tweets. I mean, you weren't happy with the first half as well, but second half, a different game, a completely different game. But what do you make of it?
Yeah, complete game of two halves. The guys that helped me out with running the Palace way were very angry at me for putting out those frustrated tweets. We ended up having to delete them at half time. But if you're wondering where those went, but yeah, no, we turned it around. I think it was a case of us starting with the wrong sort of tactical setup, which Glasner doesn't often do. But what I noticed was our wing backs were basically not high enough in that first half, and we were basically getting completely, outplayed because Leicester had an overload when they were playing out from the back, and our wing backs were kind of in this no man's land where they weren't contributing enough defensively or in the press, and it made us look really weak. And they basically just dominated us for that first 45. I thought Hughes was actually really good before he came off, and he was one of the only reasons we sort of stayed in the game. But once we made those substitutions, I thought Decore came on, did really well after that Lerma injury. Kamada came on, did really, really well, I thought. And yeah, two pretty good team goals to cap it off. So yeah, fantastic result.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, the first half, as you said, I do think it was more of like a wing back issue and not finding those plays, because at times I was so confused. I don't know about you, AJ, as well, but Eze would have the ball and Mitchell would be right next to him, but he would do anything but give it to Mitchell. It just didn't make any sense to me. And then as you look at the differences in the second half, Sarr dropped a bit deeper, and you saw Munoz and Mitchell get on the ball a bit more. It's just a bit confusing. But what is it with some of our first half so far this season? And we saw it against Chelsea, we kind of struggled, got into it in the second half. Is it tactical? Is it fitness? I don't even know. Like, why do we start games slowly?
It's almost like it's like we're feeling our way into the game. I remember this a very long time ago with Vieira, when we'd start one game one way, and then you'd kind of just sit there and go at halftime, Vieira's going to have a word with him, and it'd almost be like a different club, different team altogether that came out. I've noticed that a lot this season. I don't know if it's maybe a Glasner thing. I know he tinkers a little bit in terms of the way he tactically sets up in certain situations, and he changes and tweaks things. But the thing I definitely noticed with this game in the first half, when the highlights clipped to him, was he looked frustrated. He looked annoyed. He kept sort of turning around to his assistant and pointing out to certain things that he didn't like what he saw. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's just a thing where maybe the team's just taking a while to get into their stride. It could potentially be a thing where, do you know what? Maybe they're tired. I know it's a really weird, not even a weird thing to say, but a really typical thing to say when it comes to professional footballers. But I mean, they only played 3-4 days ago, or however long it was. They've got another game in about 3 or 4 days as well. Maybe we got to factor that part into there as well. Being asked to run around for 90 minutes constantly 3 or 4 times a week. Yes, they get paid a lot of money to do so, but in terms of the actual output, it's not easier said than done, no matter how fit or professional you are. So maybe that might have played a part. I mean, I have been doing the whole Eze criticism thing for a couple of weeks now, but at the end of the day, he is getting assists and he is getting the odd goal. I've noticed in more of the more recent games. So I think I've just kind of resigned myself to the fact that he kind of just plays to his own tempo. And, he is one of our star players in the team. I'm just kind of wanting to see something. It's almost like he's missing something. It's like he's missing a gear or two. I don't know what it's going to take to unlock it. I don't know where his head's at. I don't know where his mind's at, but I would preferably like to see some sort of a bit oomph in him, a little bit more of a sense of urgency with him. But I'm not paid to unlock that out of him. And at the end of the day, if he's getting the assist and he's getting the odd goal here or there, can I really get mad at that? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too greedy with what I expect out of him. But he's not playing as hard as I feel like he can. That's just my personal opinion on it.
And the subs today, Bruno, as well. You saw it around the 75th minute mark. I guess that's preparing for the West Ham game. But for you now, looking forward, I guess if we play like that in the second half, especially against West Ham, then it's a bit more positive. And 6 away games unbeaten. There's something to build on here. There is something to build on, as well as like the first half not being as great as it should have been. You look at the overall record, you look at the whole context of things. If we do sign players, I don't think for the West Ham game that will happen. Maybe we do sign players by them, but I doubt they're going to be significantly involved. But there is still a good part of the season, as I said at the start of the stream, 4 points off 10th, 6 games on being away from home, that we can still build on from this. But how are you feeling for that game?
Nervous, because I always think we tend to have slightly sort of uncertain performances against West Ham. Normally it's high score lines, especially in recent times. We need to sort out the problem that we're having with starting slow. West Ham will have a kind of new manager bounce now that they've won under Potter. He knows how to sort of, exploit our weaknesses. And they have a lot of players that can do damage because we are quite weak in midfield. They've got some very strong midfielders, players that can sort of work in the half space, and there are a lot of spaces in between our sort of 3 lines of defense, midfield, and attack. So I'm worried because it's going to depend a lot on energy levels, especially away from home, and that's something we've been struggling with. You could see Mitchell was completely blowing out today, and I know a lot of our players have been sick, so that will play a part, and the fixture list will play a part, as will the lack of numbers that we have. Glasner hasn't been making that many subs, mostly due to the lack of players that we actually have. And that's a critical issue. We've come into this window wanting to strengthen our squad with 2 key players to bring in. We've already lost Chalobah, so we're on a net negative, and we've loaned out Agbenone, we've loaned out Umalu, who could have potentially come in if Mateta got injured and Nketiah got injured. So we're in a weaker position right now, and we really need to strengthen our squad, because otherwise that lack of energy and those slow starts will become more normal, because it's all kind of connected. So yeah, I mean, it does keep coming back as it's January to strengthening the squad and bringing in new players, and that's something we must do as a football club. It's been, we've had to play depleted for too long this season. We failed in the summer window to bring in a left wing back. Glasner was trying to bring one in on deadline day. Then before that, he said he wanted to bring in a left wing back and a forward at the start of this window. We've brought in none so far. The Essa deal's looking a little bit ropey. And it's all up in the air, but it's been a very, very dodgy start to 2025 from a sort of greater club perspective, even if the results have been pretty good.
Yeah, just quickly, I don't want to keep it too long. It's late in the night as well, and we'll talk about transfers probably another time in a bit more detail. But Chalobah leaving, do you think we need another centre-back in? Richard started today. There's Riyad also an option off the bench as well.
I don't think we probably won't make that transfer. Just sort of balance of priorities. Chalobah came in after Riyad's injury, and that was mostly sort of related. So, Riyad can step up. Richards, as we saw today, can step up. He's not the best on the ball, which is the trade-off. And if you play Riyad, then Mark's going to play on the right. So it's not an ideal situation, but I don't think we're going to be able to loan anyone in. If we are, then, that's great. We've got a freed up loan spot. So that's a small benefit of the Chalobah departure. So I would be surprised to see us going for a centre-back, because I think a left wing-back, as we saw today with Tyreek Mitchell's performance, is just a complete necessity. And to have more sort of dribbling intent and skill off the bench and in the starting 11 would be so huge, especially with the way Eze's been playing this season, which hasn't been good enough.
Yeah. Look, great having you on. Hopefully we catch up with you again soon. But yeah, make sure to check out the Palace Way as well, people. And any podcasts coming out, previews, I guess, for West Ham reviews.
We'll have a post Leicester and post West Ham podcast out next week, but we're taking things a little slow at the moment because we're pretty wrapped.
All right, then you're still coming back from the Christmas period, I guess.
Yeah,
bit slow. Oh well, look, the transfer news is busy anyway, so make sure to check out the Palace Way, people, and also appreciate you coming on, Bruno.
Thank you.
Yeah, big fan of your work, mate. Really good stuff.
That was Bruno having his say. There's a few people waiting behind the scenes. Let's bring on Lou, who's actually driving, I think. Quickly having him on for a few minutes. Hopefully we can hear him. Lou?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
3 points again, ole ole. 3 points again, ole ole. It's the Zen Temple.
One of the thousands. Well, not thousands, 1,000. There. You told me before the game, lots of empty seats, but we'll take it.
Yeah,
2
man.
goals, clean sheet away from home, 3 points. What do you make of it at the game?
At half time, I was thinking, why the hell did I even go? But normally we start badly every single game these days. So I kind of knew Glasgow would make those little tweaks, and obviously when we came out, we got that opportunity. I think Sarr had a little ricochet before he got in to play that pass, that little bit of luck, and then it was a great pass and finish. And then from there on, I feel like we dominated the game.
Yeah, we did. The first half, Glasgow actually spoke about. Of course, you haven't seen it yet, I guess, because you was at the game. But he did say it wasn't even like a tactical thing. Like it was like few words were said at half time, but it was more about intensity. Forget about tactics, it's the intensity.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's a combination of like illness, injuries? I'm not really too sure because not everyone played against Stockport. So, but then again, we did have illnesses. Do you think it falls down to that?
Yeah, I think it was just slight little tweaks. Like I feel like Leicester knew that Richards was a weak point. I feel like they was really pressing us when Richards got the ball. Munoz's quality on the ball wasn't great in the first half. Eze kept slowing it down. But yeah, I just think it was probably little tweaks. Like a lot of the fans said they need to get a bollock in, but sometimes it takes a calm head to change the game, and that's what Glasgow is.
Yeah, and another set piece goal as well. I think we are one on, well, not probably one because Arsenal I think scored against Spurs from set piece. But we're only a few away from Arsenal, who they've got a whole mural for the set piece coach.
We need to rip down Zaha's mural and put our set piece coach up, man.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, when is our mural for the set piece? Because we went from under Roy, like one of the worst teams in set piece in the whole league, to now under Glasgow, one of the best teams, and you can see what difference it makes. The second goal, it buried the game, done and dusted. I was confident after that. And yeah, look, it's something to build on. 6 games unbeaten as well. You're going to West Ham away. Are you confident about that game?
Yeah, man. It's going to be a much more difficult game. West Ham have got more quality than Leicester did. They were shocking in the second half. By the way, Vardy was unbelievable in that first half. I thought he dealt with the bar on Gahey. He's so smart. Every single layoff, like his little turns, I thought like he proper uneased our defense. Then in the second half, he didn't really get a sniff. I feel like we need to start better against Kudus and they haven't got Fulkrug or Somerville, I don't think so. I don't know, man. Fatigue might play a part in it, but yeah, if we play like we did in the second half, we can definitely get a result.
Yeah, 100%.
So Louis,
I know you're traveling home, so we'll catch up with you, of course, tomorrow. Shout out to Dad as well. I know he's holding the phone.
Yeah,
man. Have a safe journey home, both, and then hopefully we catch up with you again soon.
All right, see you later, man.
Take care. See you later. That was Lee, of course. He went to the game. And yeah, as he said, the first half, Jamie Vardy could have scored a few goals. He could have, and we got away with it. It was just too slow. And I could see that Glasgow was going to get into the players because even whilst watching the game, I could hear Glasgow shouting. And normally, like you could see him being animated, but he was really like pissed off. Like there's no other ways of putting it. He was genuinely pissed off. You could tell from the sideline just watching him. And rightly so, because the intensity just wasn't there. But in the second half, it's a different game. And all that matters right now is the 3 points as well. Let's bring on Stan next. Stan?
Come on!
3 points. It's rare, you know. It's rare. If you know what in our WhatsApp chat with Stan, you would realize that it's rare to have days like this. So it's happening. But you can't really complain today, can you? 3 points.
Well, yeah, no, I can't. Can't complain at all. You know what? I just wanted to obviously say big up to anyone that went out. I think we took about 1,000 up there. Obviously, Louis was just on before he went. So yeah, fair play. It's a tough one midweek away. But listen, first half tough, not great. Second half really good.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. In the second half, what was it then? What was really good?
Do you see the tactical tweak that he did? That he moved. That he just pushed us up 5 yards. And then we just and I don't know something happened because Vardy didn't get a sniff second half. Like we know, like once we worked out how to deal with him, we didn't get a sniff. But if you look at Glasner's post-match comments, he said that like he tore into him at halftime, and he said like they're just like strolling around, popping the ball about here, popping the ball about there, and yeah, they came out second half like much better. And even Van Nistelrooy just said in his post-match that Leicester just dropped their game, and if you do that, he said Palace were lethal, and we were. Second half, we were really good.
Yeah, and you can see the difference from when we faced them at home in comparison to away from home. Normally at home, you expect all 3 points, but we were 2-0 down, had to do a comeback and bring it to 2-2. But in this one, 2-0 clean sheet away from home, and also we had a few positive appearances off the bench. I know you haven't been a massive fan of this, but I thought Kamada today when he came on, he was solid. What do you make of some of the bench appearances? Because I know that's been like an area of concern for yourself.
Yeah, I thought Kamada was good. I thought Decore when he came on was very, very good. You could see, you said obviously in the group, but you could see that like Hughes, obviously, like you got a game on Saturday, you got to keep him fresh. He's just come back from an injury, so they took him off. I thought Kamada was all right. Devaney wasn't too bad when he came on. He always gets stuck in. And Ketia, I don't know if he didn't really get much time, but he wasn't great. He gave a couple of fouls away, and he just I don't know, man.
Yeah, but overall, I do think Kamada is one of those players who's kind of growing, because before when he used to come off the bench, I used to be worried, especially in midfield, in that midfield too.
I was still worried today.
yeah, and you were worried as well. And no, when he did come on, he had like there was a little bit of a period, like a few minutes period, where Decore and Kamada were trying to adjust to each other, and like Leicester were just playing through the midfield. But after that, I think Kamada's been one of those players who has improved massively over the last couple of months, ever since that red card. For him, where do you think we go to, like in terms of his role? Is it going to be like a number 10? Do you reckon he's going to be playing in midfield 2 more often? Because quietly, he always does his job when he comes off the bench.
I still think he's a little bit too casual, and there were a few wayward passes from him today. But I think he's best in a sort of a 10 or just off the, that's where he's best. And you've seen that, obviously, like the last game that he played, I think against Stockport, he played more attacking, right? Today he came in, he did a job in centre mid. Like Jason here, he just says Hughes was running that midfield today, second half. Like he was absolutely running that midfield. We dropped a little bit when he went off, we did, but Kamada did a good enough job. I'm not saying he had a bad game, he did a good enough job, So I think he's more of an attacking player. I'm actually starting to think that Kamada is a little bit too much of a luxury for our team at the moment. Like he do you know what I mean? Like he's a bit too much of a luxury player. He's like a pop it about, do this, do that, and we haven't got the capabilities to do that at the moment.
Yeah, but Stan, with that, you see, with obviously the fatigue and everything, and obviously the game coming so thick and fast, would you not consider starting him potentially against West Ham? No,
not at all, because I think that they've got some really good players, man. Their midfield is solid as well. Souček, they got Kudus can play a number of positions, and I think you've got. I would start Decore and Hughes. Obviously, Lerma went off because he was sick, right? So.
Decore, of course, came on today. I wanted him to start. I was a bit disappointed, to be fair, when he didn't start. Where do we go with Decore? Because I ideally need him in starting 11 for consistent minutes, because I do think there's a player in there. Well, I do think that we have seen it. He was once linked to Liverpool for £70 million. Of course, the injury that he's had is nasty and it takes a bit of time. But at what point do we start Decore? Is it against West Ham? Does Hughes still start with Lerma? Like, it just feels a bit weird because he didn't play against either.
You go on 4 minutes. So, in all fairness, I think Decore obviously has been showing form when he has come on, and obviously he did have quite a serious injury at the time, and obviously it's a case of slowly integrating him back into the team. If Lerma is really got this allegedly an illness, then with the fatigue question I was asking beforehand, I think you're right. It is a situation where you do consider potentially starting him and seeing how long he can last on the pitch. But then if there's some sort of issue around maybe overworking him or maybe potentially aggravating something that is there long term, I'm happy with the way that the manager's sort of slowly integrating him back into the team without rushing him.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think he's ready to start. Like he can comfortably start against West Ham if that's the case. Listen, he was good today. He was good. He broke up the play. He was good on the ball. He was good today, and he was good against Chelsea when he played. You know, the previous game, Southampton, I think he came on and he wasn't like, he was a bit up and down, but listen, once he gets back into it and he's slowly starting to show those signs, like Liverpool bid big money for him. Like he's a top player.
Yeah, he is, and I do think eventually he will end up starting. So where do we go from here? West Ham, 3 points.
Please, I hope so. New manager bounce for them though, so it's not going to be easy. Listen, this board, this chairman of ours, they need to get out and back this manager because he's so good. He's such a good manager.
The reason why I'm laughing is because it's all what Stan talks about 24/7. If he was in our chat, you'd realize.
Listen,
I'm just waiting for the moment to drop.
Listen,
no,
I know you were, but you know he's the first manager. He's the first Palace manager ever to have won and drawn more games than he has lost. Like, that's an unbelievable achievement.
Especially with the squad that we've had as well, because we know the limitations. I mean, even now, Chalobah, for example, recalled yesterday night and he still adjusted to it. Chris Richards starts and we managed to get 3 points. Of course, look, we need to back Glasner. I 100% agree with you. We're halfway through January. Hopefully the next step is that, you know, before the West Ham game, if we can announce SA, that would be a positive for me. It will be a positive going into that because Chalobah was a bit of a negative. We won today. Let us announce him and then focus on, you know, left wing back, for example. Because Klein came on today. He wasn't bad, but he's not a left wing back. And we need another left wing back. Yeah. And then we'll see if we have any opportunities with centre back. But I pretty much doubt it anyways. I don't think we'll sign a centre back in this window, as Bruno mentioned. But look, Stan, great having you on. Most important, good to see you smiling. Yeah, go on.
AJ, what's the clubber saying? You wearing your dressing gown or something, or what's going on?
Dressing gown with a chain on. It's a bit confused. Do you want to rest up? Are you going out? What's going on?
Listen, don't get sucked into the imagery, blood. This is literally just a hoodie. I'm just wearing over my shoulder.
Oh, the hoodie. That's it. I did think it's a dressing gown as well. Look, I didn't realize. Okay, that makes
if you know, this is just a hoodie, bro. It's just over my shoulders.
I thought like maybe like my spectacles at work, and I thought it was like a velvet type of thing, you know.
I was like, what is going on? I know, like, are you going out? Like, are you going to bed? I don't know how it works.
Going out and celebrate, boys. Going out and celebrate.
Celebrate the win. Oh, look, Stan, great having you on.
Nice one, lads. Up the Palace.
Up the Palace. Let's bring on Dan next. But before we do this, over 300 people watching us live right now. So if you haven't already done so, 2 things. Please drop a like and also subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. It helps us out massively. So thank you to each and every single one of you that's already done that. And if you do want to join in with the conversation, you can do so by clicking on the pinned comment to join us live right now. Let's bring on Dan next. Dan, as you say, 3 points again. Ole, ole. Lovely. Great win. Great win, especially after that first half. Managed to get the job done. Your thoughts on the game?
First half, like it's hard, isn't it? It was hard. It was a hard watch, painful watch. Especially like Richard replacing Chalobah with Richard is just like going from Champions League to League One. You know what I mean? Like Richards, I don't really rate him at all. But then again, the team just woke up in the second half, and it was just totally different. You know what I mean? Everyone's getting on Tyreek Mitchell's back and stuff. I understand that, but this is only like a handful of games that I've seen Tyreek Mitchell like blow like that. You know, and again the boys coming back from the flu. So, but I don't know. You know, Will Hughes. I think. Hear me out. I think Will Hughes is one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. You know what I mean? I said that he would come good, and this season he's flourished into the player that everyone knows he was at Derby. You know what I mean? He come on with such a big name, and I feel Will Hughes now is essential to a Crystal Palace team.
Yeah, I think we had to manage him because of his previous injury, and that is why he got subbed off around the 30th minute mark. But Decore came on. What did you think of his performance today? Well, he came on earlier for Lerma because he's another player that, you know, everyone was thinking when he's fit, he will be starting, but he hasn't really.
Yeah, Decore for me is he's an absolute luxury. You know what I mean? He's class. You know, he's shown last year how class he really is, and parts this year as well. You know, Chelsea away, I remember him coming on and absolutely ruling the roost. You know what I mean? He's a class player. You know, him and Wharton and Hughes, I think, are just vitally important for Palace at the minute to move forward and have the respectful end to the season that everyone knew that we should have had at the start.
Yeah, and just going back to Richards, of course, Chalobah left the club. Well, he didn't leave; he got recalled, which was unfortunate because we can't do nothing about it. It was Chelsea's decision, and that's what they've done. Do you think we need another centre back then in this window, or you know, if you're not a massive fan of Richards yourself, is it Riyad that could step in? Or
I'm not too sure. I'm all for bringing in another centre back. You know what I mean? But you know that Lacroix, Gray, and Chalobah. You know that back three is, for me, is one of the best in the league. You know, I know I might be being biased and stuff like that, but I would gladly go with that back three is one of the best in the league. And you know, I'm happy with what we got. You know, you've got some good players. You still have some good players in there. You know, I do like Raid. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable with Richards in that back three. I don't know why, but something's telling me is against the West Ham or against the Chelsea, against the Man United, he'll just get torn to pieces. And that right hand side at the start of the season cost us big time. You know, I remember away at Brentford. You know, I was talking to you about it. Brian and Bremu absolutely destroyed Richards for that goal. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit biased. Maybe I'm being a bit, you know, bit forward thinking. But no, I don't know. It's up to Glasner, isn't it? You know, like Glasner knows his full 11, and he trusts that Richards is going to do a good job.
Nah, and I agree with you 100%. I think I feel like Richards could grow into the role. Like there's nothing stopping him from or preventing him from improving. But if you're looking for a chink in the armor, he is the go-to in terms of play. When we play sort of better quality teams, he's the one that they can really go for. And he does have his moments of, I wouldn't say calamities, but he definitely has a few moments where it's like, whoa, you're not 100% safe pair of hands as it would have been a Chalobah or maybe somebody else. But then there is a question there. You do have Riyad there as well that potentially come into there. And obviously we do have historically Lerma and Klein have had to sort of sit in and fit in that role as well. But I do kind of see where you're coming from with the Richards element. I'm not trying to write Richards off. I don't particularly think Richards is
I thought Joe Ward had a good little stint back there. You know what I mean, in that back three. But
Joe Ward.
Yeah, Joe Ward. Yeah, last year. Last year he had a good.
I mean, is Ward even on the bench? I don't think he's even on the bench.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he's coming to the end.
Both testimonial, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think he's got the legs anymore.
But I'm happy. I'm happy with Richards there at the minute. You know what I mean? But then again, how long is it going to be until he makes a costly mistake? You know, hopefully he doesn't. But
yeah. Is he not playing out of position in terms of in that back three playing down the right hand side? We saw it with Gahey against Stockport. I don't think he had a good game at all, Mark Gahey against Stockport, but he wasn't playing on the left. He was playing on the right hand side. Could it be down to that? Because Richards on the left hand side, it seems like a different player to how he is on the right hand side, and we saw it with Gahey as well. So I think that is the problem. To be fair, is that he would benefit from playing where Gahey's playing, but of course Gahey is a better player, so he has. If he's going to play, he's going to have to play down the right hand side, and that's not his game. So I don't think Richards is a bad player, but yeah, I mean there are still a lot of positives today. Just quickly on Mateta and Sarr, it's good to see them combine again, and Mateta score another goal. For me, that goal was class. The pass from
Sarr, see, look, D, I wanted to put this one to you. You know what I mean? You're not the biggest fan of Sarr, are you? He's not going to be a bench warmer. He's been absolute class, mate. He's been one of the players of the season. Like I knew as soon as he would warm up into his role, he would come good, and that's what he's done. He started to come good, and hopefully, fingers crossed, him Eze and Mateta can knock it on like Elise Mateta and Eze done last year.
Yeah. Well, just to respond to you about Sarr, it's not about me not being a fan of his. It's about that position. He's not, in my opinion, he's not, for example, a similar player to, like, let's say Eze, a player that can get on the ball, that can operate in tight spaces. Or even though today he kind of proved me wrong with that goal that he scored. But the reason why we're linked to Eze is because he is that type of profile, and I think Sarr would suit certain games more. I think if you have spacing behind, Sarr can run into it, then it's fantastic. But today I saw a different side of Sarr's game, especially in the second half, which I really liked. But let's see how he does against West Ham. But yeah, Sarr's been fantastic for us in terms of some of the goals that he scored, and he's come up big. He didn't start at the start of the season, but ever since he's been in starting 11, you can't really drop him. However, saying that, we still need to strengthen in attackers. You can never have too many attackers, especially if they're quality. So yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing in another number 10 to challenge him, and hopefully that even elevates his game even further. But look, great having you on, Dan, and hopefully we catch up with you after the West Ham game.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, then.
That was Dan having his say. Let's bring on Tim. Tim, you've been waiting for a while. Sorry about that.
Come on!
Yes, that's the spirit that we like.
Come on!
2-0, clean sheet, 3 points away from home. Wow.
Yeah.
What a game. What a game. Game or two halves?
Yeah, dreadful first half. Come on. We could admit that. That's a dreadful first half. I want to give a shout out to Kamada, because I think he's been unfairly killed by our fans for a while, and his performances there, he's had some bad performances, but the last few games, I mean, here's where I want to sort of make this point. We've had in the past Jeffrey Schlupp come on as kind of the super sub, and Kamada, Devaney have both come in and kind of assumed that role, and I think that's been a serious upgrade, like a big time upgrade. I thought Kamada was good today. I like the way he likes to progress the ball. You saw more, like you saw that at Stockport. He was terrific. He was terrific versus Stockport. I thought you saw that again today, which I liked seeing. I'm really happy to hear. I'm going to be very curious to listen to the manager's comments, because that the dressing room at halftime was loud, getting into it, and like, because that was unacceptable. I don't know if it was the manager. I don't know if it was the captain. I don't know who it was. I don't think it matters. It was an unacceptable first half performance, and coming out and playing materially better. And a quick shout out to the manager. Just to your point, D, when Sarr comes short and he plays back to the midfielders and to the center back, he can turn them, and he did that. He does that for the goal. He comes in, he gets the ball, he's back, he turns, he gets a little bit fortunate with his touch, then a great pass into JP and gets us the goal. But he's a menace when we play him, when the manager gets him into the middle and he gets a chance to take the ball, distribute it out, run at players. The guy's a freaking menace. And I mean, he's been fantastic. And in the second half, I think it made a huge difference.
Yeah, he did. And I was surprised with the goal, to be fair. It was great from him to keep the ball on his feet whilst he's being pressured by 2-3 Leicester players, go past them. I mean, we know that he's got the pace, but it was good technique from him, and also the pass as well. But in general, look, Tim, today there's been a few news that's come out. Richards, of course, started because Chalobah's gone. And also,
I have a comment on that, but keep going.
After we finish recording, there's been a cash injection report as well of around £37.5 million.
Yep.
Now, you know your finance stuff, so it's only right to ask you.
Sure.
What? I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you what's our transfer budget, because I don't expect you to know that. But
no, but I have
an idea.
Is it now
more than it was before? Did we not have money before? Is it all a bit confusing? Like,
no, let's run some numbers here. We didn't use any of the budget during the summer. So I would expect going into the summer, Palace would have set aside, because you're finishing 10th. I think you would have set aside a minimum of 30 million, maybe as much as 40 million pounds, because we've done that, So let's say it's 40 million pounds. Then with sales before any add-ons, your net surplus at the end of the summer is 22.4 million pounds. So let's say we're going to set aside some of that money for the main stand. So now let's say you're 50 million pounds. You got 50 million pounds to work with. Then you so you have 2 tranches of equity. That this is earlier in January. I think it's right around the 10th. You have some common shares, and then you have some preferred shares, both, and combined, 17 million in cash raised roughly from the common shares, about 20.5 million from the preferred shares, so about 37.5 million. The Athletic reported about 16 million of that came from Texter, so that's probably right. So probably half of that, maybe 40% of it, is for the main stand, because there were, all the owners are on the hook for what are called capital calls, bring money into the club in order to help pay for the main stand. So probably somewhere between 16 and 20 million of that is for the main stand. So let's say it's 20 million. So now you got another 17 million. So you're probably looking at somewhere around 60 to 65 million in available funds for.
That's what I was thinking as well, because we definitely had money left over from the summer, and then with this injection as well. But then I don't see us spending all of that in this window. I don't think we will.
No, and I don't think you would want to, because you'd get bad deals. What you need to do, just to give Stan, a shout out to Stan here. He's exactly right. Exactly right. Look, I am a bigger fan of Steve Parrish than Stan is, but we fundamentally agree on this point. Glasner has said publicly 2 signings. You better do that. Get off your ass and do it. You must do at minimum that. That's the absolute minimum requirement. So, and I don't think you rush into bad deals to back the manager, but I do think you get SA over the line, and you try to get a left wing back over the line quickly. Just a quick thing on Richards. I think I have a different view of it on Richards. He's playing out of position. He's playing in the right center back position, but he can play there because he plays there for the U.S. team at times. He was a little bit shaky to start the game, and the difference between Richards in this game and just say Gay in this game, Richards' pass completion percentage about 71%, Gay 83%. Richards is not where we kill him, and I understand why we kill him, is because he's not delivering a line-breaking pass. He doesn't do it consistently, often gives it away. He'll try a line-breaking pass, and he just won't get it right. And so his pass percentage is not good enough. And I think what we all saw from Riyadh versus Stockport, that guy does have an eye. I mean, he's purely left-footed. He can only play one position, and Richards can play multiple positions. But on that left foot, that does look pretty promising, pretty tasty. So I am really looking forward to Glasner having some real competition between these two, because the other stats, if you want to take away the passing, Richards 4 of 6 winning crucial aerial duels, crucial interceptions, 100% of his tackles won. Like, he did not get run past. He didn't get, when Vardy rinsed somebody, he rinsed Gay. He did not rinse Richards. So I think we're giving Richards, we're way too hard on him. But it is very easy to take a crack at him because you look at his line-breaking pass and he gets it wrong. It's just very visible.
Yeah. His passing was terrible in the first half. It was terrible in the first half, in my opinion. I can't really remember his passing in the second half. I was more.
It was better, but in the first half, he has a couple that are just he tries a line breaking pass and it comes right back at us, which is not.
I mean,
not what you want to see.
Exactly. And funny enough, we were mainly playing down his side and we weren't giving the ball as much to Gahey. Maybe that played a part as well. But the intensity was just all off. But looking forward now to the West Ham game.
Yep.
We need back-to-back wins. I've said this for a long time. For us to push up the table, we need back-to-back wins. And if we get another win...
D, from your mouth to God's ears, please let it happen.
Do you reckon it could happen against West Ham after today's performance and West Ham having a new manager in Graham Potter? We have had a good away form.
We have had really good away form. We've also had, going back to my favorite recent away win was the cheeky, Elise goal at the last second at the London Stadium to grab the 3 points there. So we've had like good wins at the London Stadium. So yeah, I think we can. The other thing is, I guess I don't know. I feel like it's got a draw written all over it. I want the win. The other thing that gives me a little bit of hope, and I just, this is so terrible. It's like schadenfreude on my part, but we've had those moments where we've just tortured Graham Potter, and I would really like to do that again. I really would. So
yeah, I don't think they were great against Fulham. Apparently, defensively they were still a bit shaky and still early days. So let's see. If we get a win there, then we go above West Ham. And also, as I said at the start of the stream, we're only 4 points behind 10th. So we just need those back-to-back wins. We just can't have one win, one draw, one win, one draw. It's been working. We caught up kind of with the pack, but if we want to stay with them and look up the table rather than down, let's continue this good away form. Let's continue against West Ham. Bring the game to them, and hopefully we can get 3 points.
I definitely think it's certainly possible, and I do think Sarr is a serious weapon. What I hope is that when we, when not if we get in some signings, I would like to have SA coming off to allow Glasner to change the game. I do think that Sarr is fantastic, but it would be a fundamentally different structure and a different threat if you either move him or you take somebody off and then you have a left footer charging at you and cutting inside. That's just a different type of threat, and it allows Glasner to change the game. And honest to God, I really want to see that.
Let's see if Kansar be another threat against West Ham. Mateta on the score sheet again. Hopefully. We'll be recording the West Ham preview tomorrow, people. So hopefully it should get released in the evening around tomorrow, unless there's like a big news that drops, and then we might have to delay it. So let's see what happens. But look, Tim, great having you on, and hopefully we catch up with you again after the West Ham game.
Great to see you guys. Up the Palace. Let's go.
Okay, up the Palace. That's Tim having his say. Let's bring on the next guest of the evening. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Is it Ils? How do I pronounce it? Ils. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
2-0 win against Leicester.
Yeah.
I think it's the first time coming on the channel, right?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah. Well, great having you on. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was like first half. I was like, speechless. Really, the passing was awful. Especially, I would say, Richards and Munoz especially. But second half, it was just we brought it back. Yeah, we did well.
Yeah. We did. And what do you think it comes down to? Because as you mentioned, Richard, Munoz, but I think it was the whole team. And you can see from the TV anyways, Glasner was like, it was done. It was frustrated. But in the second half, it was a different game. And he mentioned intensity rather than tactics. And for me, that kind of did stand out in the second half. But for you, was there anything else?
I thought it wasn't too different in terms of in possession, but we were just way quicker with our passing. And it was a lot less loose passes. That's all I'd say. First half, even Gahey, I would say Gahey had quite a few as well, loose passes, and that's kind of what killed us in the first half.
Yeah, it was just sloppy. Like Palace just had to wake up, and after we did, we finally created chances and scored some goals, especially in the second half. But of course, a few players came off the bench today. Let's start off with Doucouré. What's your thoughts on Doucouré going forward? Because I think before his injury, he was a fantastic player, and I have wanted him to start at Palace sooner rather than later. However, he didn't start today. He came on and played a large chunk of it because Lerma got subbed off pretty early. He came on, Kamada came on. In terms of the sub appearances, do you think anyone's knocking on the door to be a starter, or do you reckon it's
Decore for sure, the main one, and Riyadh. I would like to see Riyadh given a start, definitely.
Yeah, with Riyadh, I guess it's a good link to Chalobah. What have you made of Chelsea recalling Chalobah and the centre back position right now? Because for me, if we get one injury, then we're very thin in terms of numbers. But I don't really see Palace signing another centre half. Richards, Riyadh, two options there. Do you think they're good enough for the remainder of the season, or do you reckon we need to sign another player?
I think ideally we need to sign a player in the summer, but if we get him in now, that's just a bonus, isn't it? But definitely Riyadh is promising. It's just the problem of where you play him in the back three. But yeah,
you just come back from an injury though, so I don't know how much he'll play now, but maybe in about a few weeks' time, he may get up to speed. You know, he played against Stockport, to be fair, and he looked decent, but I don't know in terms of his game management. But looking forward now to West Ham and the season, rest of the season as well. As I said, 4 points off 10th. What do you think needs to be done for us to be a bit more consistent in terms of getting, you know, wins and back-to-back wins, which is not easy anyways, even if you have a full squad. But for me, I do feel like we need to bring in a couple of players, which Glass has mentioned, and that could change things. But for you, anything in particular?
I think we just need a bit of backup. Definitely, fullback-wise, we need someone like who's the player they brought off? Leicester brought someone off. Their new signing who can play left and right.
Yeah.
French guy.
Yeah, what, Leicester?
Leicester.
Yeah, he was in the stands. They signed him like just before the game. Yoko, something. I can't remember.
Something like that. A player like that would just be perfect because he can do what Klein's doing now, and then Klein can drop to reserves or whatever Ward's role is.
And in terms of number 10,
do
you think we need another attacker?
Yeah, I think Esse is perfect. Just someone that we can just bring off the bench like we're doing with Devaney and just see how it goes. Because I don't think either like Devaney, anyone like that is really going to be starting anytime soon. We just need someone kind of fresh legs we can bring on to make an impact.
Yeah, I'm looking at Esse as well. Hopefully Esse gets announced sooner rather than later because, I mean, it should be. It should be.
But they're saying that literally just on what Ills was saying there. With obviously all these games coming so thick and fast, and obviously the fatigue was showing today. The likes of Devaney has shown he's more than competent to start games. He's done it in the absence of Eze, and he's actually been pretty competent, to be fair. And obviously, he even got himself a goal. So,
yeah,
I don't know. There's a bit of the 50-50 debate on that one. Even, I mean, a while ago, I was in my feelings and probably turning around and saying that he should have probably started over Eze in some games. But in all fairness, with the games coming so thick and fast, are we a bit silly in thinking that Devaney's not capable of potentially starting games ahead of Eze and stuff like that, and depending on who obviously the game is against?
It depends on fatigue, to be fair. If Eze is fit, I think he starts. And even today's subs, 75th minute, Mateta, Eze come off, and I think that's for the West Ham game. We're just trying to manage everyone's minutes. But after the West Ham game, to be fair, it does become it goes back to normal. I don't think there is any midweek game, so we will have like one game a week. So yeah, we managed to get through the Leicester game. We just have to get through West Ham, and then afterwards it's like weekly games. Even the FA Cup weekend, it's a weekend. It's not a midweek game, so that's the positive about it. But looking forward to the West Ham game, Ills. Are you confident?
Yeah, definitely. Considering our away form at the moment, I don't see why we can't go get a result. They looked sloppy yesterday, so
yeah,
definitely it would be a scrappy game, but we can definitely score some goals. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I mean, Fulham caused them a bit of trouble. I think Fulham's defending was suspect, and a lot of fans are getting onto Anderson. Fulham fans especially. So I think defensively they weren't that great, but yeah, I mean, if we cause a bit of trouble like we did in the second half against Leicester, then yeah, 100% we can get a result. But look, great having you on the channel. Hopefully we catch up with you again soon. Take care.
Thank you very much. Up the Palace.
That was Ills having his say. We'll go through the comments and then we'll slowly wrap up. But if you've just joined us now, if you haven't already done so, please hit the like button and subscribe, people. And if you do want to call into the show, you can do so before we do wrap up. The link is pinned in the comment section. So make sure to check that out and click on it. Let's see. AJ, anything you want to add?
No, actually, do you know what? I do want to clarify up the Richards thing, because I've seen a few comments on that. It's not that I don't rate Richards. The problem I'm having, and maybe because it's still fresh, is I am naturally comparing Richards to Chalobah. That's how I'm doing it. And if I was given gun to the head decision on the spot right now, I would prefer, obviously, naturally Chalobah to play there. I'm fully aware of what Richards is capable of, and I know he's competent enough to play Premier League games and stuff, but obviously with the potential history of the injuries and in the past couple of games, him just getting caught out a couple of times, that's where my concern is. I don't think we need to go and buy another centre-back and replace him. I don't think that's the situation. And obviously, whether it be him or Riyadh, I don't mind. I'm not particularly fussed about that. Where my head is at is, unfortunately, because it's so raw, my brain is naturally just comparing between him and Chalobah. But obviously, there's nothing we can do about that right now. So just a bit of clarification around that. But nah, man, I'm happy with the 3 points we got today. I just want to get this SA deal done, wrapped up, and then we can just move on to potentially pursuing this left back, because we have got a serious manager here. And like Stan and Tim have mentioned, this man does not play. Like, you can't mess him about, and he's not going to sit in the media and protect the boardroom. We need to back the manager. We need to get these players over the line. We need to stop playing these little silly games over 1 million, 2 million, and buyout clauses and all the rest of it. Just get these players done, get them through the door, boost the squad, and let's just push and get a strong finish to the season.
Exactly. It comes down to that. We just need to sign 2 players, really. 2 players that can add to the side right now. Ready-made players. And yeah, it's a long season. And we've turned our season so far, especially over the last few months, around. And now it's looking way more positive. There were talks about relegation. At some point in the season, there were talks about Glasgow getting sacked. It's been a crazy season. But if we want to look up the table, I think the solution is simple. You bring in more players. Simple as that. And we're close to bringing in 1 in SA. Hopefully that gets done this week. And then we have to focus at the left wing back position, because that's been an area of concern for not just this season, last season as well. We haven't strengthened there, and Mitchell's been running the show by himself. But when he has an illness, or if he's not 100% fit, you're bringing on Klein. He can play there, but Nathaniel Klein is not a left wing back. Like, if you've been watching Palace for a long time, you'll know this. Like, he can play there, but it doesn't mean that he's suitable enough for a team that's trying to push up the table. But yeah, overall today, happy day. Well, happier than how the day started with Chalobah getting recalled. But we have to build on it. We have to try and get a win against West Ham. And yeah, look, I'm happy. There isn't much to say. If you remove the first half, especially, there are positives out of that game. I mean, in the first half, the only positive that I thought about at halftime was that it's 0-0. Literally, there was nothing else that was positive to me, whether that's defenders, whether that's attackers, midfielders. But a comment there as well, it's gone off the screen now, but about Adam Walton. We're doing this without Adam Walton. A fit 100% Adam Walton improves this side massively. And we're still talking about Doucouré coming into the starting 11 as well eventually at some point if he's 100%. Even though we need to sign players, there are still a few players in this side. Well, not few. One in particular, in terms of Adam Walton, and maybe Doucouré if you want to count him, that could make a massive impact to this midfield, both defensively and offensively as well. So he's meant to join training again at the end of this month, which is in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully that goes well. And once he does, hopefully mid-Feb, late Feb, if we get a Prince off the bench, he's going to help us, especially with the progressive passes. I think Eze gets helped out with that. And if we sign Juve, and have options for Mitchell and Juve, I think that'll be a positive as well. But just quickly, some people are talking about Chalobah. I can see us buying Chalobah in the summer. Do you see that happening?
I mentioned it earlier on Twitter today, because apparently the rumor is they're still going to look to sell him in the summer anyway. So I just don't get what Chelsea are doing out here. But it is what it is. I'm not going to be bitter towards Chelsea about it. Louis mentioned, on the show earlier on today that At the end of the day, that's how loans work. If there's a buyback, if there's a recall clause in it, nothing you can do about it. But as long as the price is right and the money's good and we've got the budget for it, I would happily bring him back in the summer, 100%.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know if I would. I'm actually
out there as well. That plays
at this point.
It just depends on so many different factors, to be fair. It's just like, where are we going to be at? Where are Chelsea going to be at? What kind of money are we going to be working with?
Yeah, I guess the money plays a part as well.
Gay going to stay. It's going to, typical summer.
Chelsea's a nightmare, man. Chelsea's a nightmare to deal with. So I just don't see them doing us a favor. Even with did you not see the report about Chalobah plus 10 million for Gahey? So it's like, how much are you valuing Chalobah? Like, that's what I'm not really hopeful about it.
Chalobah cap for England, yeah.
Don't know, Don't know. I can actually search it out. I don't think so. Maybe
I would say, how much is Chalobah worth? What?
I don't
20
think
to 30
so.
million
Has Chalobah played for England? Chat. Anyone in chat? No.
I swear he has.
I don't think he has. No, only under 21.
Let's say we're valuing him at what? 20 to 30 million bracket, I'd say, right off the top of my head. I don't think I'd pay more than 30, but I feel like 20 would be reasonable. Take that off the price that Gay is, bro, I'm going to need at least another 30 million on top of that. At least.
The thing is, I think Gahey is leaving this summer. So
yeah,
we're going to have to replace him. And then if we don't think Richards and Riyadh is up to the job and we need someone else, then we're going to have to sign another centre-back as well. So it's going to have to be 2 centre-backs. But yeah, let's see what happens with that, because I don't see Gahey staying at this point. I thought if he was going to stay, he would sign a new contract, but it seems like he's just going to
wound up
and we're not going to lose him for free. There's no way we do. So this summer, I can see Gahey leaving. But it all depends on Chelsea. It depends on Chelsea. But for me, I think with the centre-back department, like, I'm not as worried. I think Dougie's done a good job finding centre-backs. And I don't think centre-backs are as difficult as, let's say, strikers or number 10. So I think we'll get the job done. There should be enough centre-backs somewhere in Europe, especially for us to go and get. But look, people, we're going to wrap it up now. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. Great win away from home against Leicester. We'll be back building up to the West Ham game starting from tomorrow. So make sure to check out all of the content. That's it from us. And until next time, up the Palace.